Workout 2 of the process throwdown is once again a two-part workout. For part A in this workout, athletes will complete 21, 15, 9 repetitions of a thruster and a box jump. Part B of workout 2, athletes will use the remaining time to build to a 1 rep max clean. Remember, workout description and movement standards will be included in the description below. Now, let's head down to the floor and watch our heavy hitters, Alex Younger and Tamron Robinson, go head to head. So, now you know what event 2 of the process throwdown is. Let's head down to the floor and watch Al and Tammy go head to head. Ant, on you. Okay. So, thoughts, I think firstly, before we even start talking about this, we have 2 athletes here who are probably genuinely 2 of the best athletes in the world when it comes to this kind of workout.
Yeah.
Moving light, moderate barbell, box jumps.
Yeah. Explosive, super quick. I think, to be honest, this workout would probably lend itself normally to someone like Alex, who's really short.
Extremely short.
Extremely short. But super powerful. Loves the squatting variation and loves like explosive plyometric style movements like box jumps. I think when the rep scheme is short, when there's like 90 reps in it, I just don't think a male is going to do much better than a female who's slightly shorter than him, so which means a slightly shorter range of motion, and there's a slightly shorter box height.
Yeah.
I just don't think, even if it was exactly the same athlete, you put Tammy on a 24-inch box with a slightly heavier barbell, I think she wouldn't slow down, but she would actually get the same time as probably what Al got.
Yeah,
4 inches makes an extra difference, as we all know.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at these 2, and like we're not going to have long to talk about this workout because it's going to be over very, very quick. Yeah. But when we picked these 2 athletes to do it, straight away it was not a question as to whether or not they were going to do the thrusters unbroken.
Yeah,
right. It was, we know they're going to do the 21:59 unbroken, and we know they're going to be rebounding very efficiently every single box jump.
Yeah.
Now, for the majority of people doing this workout, going unbroken in the thrust at 21:59 probably isn't a viable option. So a smart pacing strategy within the thrusters is actually probably going to allow people to do well on this workout. Bearing in mind that we have 2 knee flexion movements here. We've got a squatting movement, a thruster, into what is still deemed as a squatting movement, a box jump.
Yeah.
So, for those who are going to be breaking this workout up, specifically on the barbell, and how would you typically kind of advise someone to go ahead with the breaking strategy?
Breaking strategy, break when you want to break versus when you need to break. So you don't break because you have to and you just can't do another rep. And I would prefer to do a descending rep scheme. Those are probably 2 of my...
So what is a descending rep scheme?
Descending rep scheme, for example, if you're in the round of 15, if you're going to break it once, we're looking at like a 10 to 5. Versus going, something like, which is more similar, which is like an 8 and a 7. If you're in the 21s, some people sometimes go 7, 7, 7. I much prefer to do the descending one. What would it be, like a 9, 8, 6 or something like that? No, 9, 8, 5 or something like that. Yeah. Something that allows you to move with shorter rep schemes because you're going to be accumulating fatigue anyway.
And I think the reason being there, why we would recommend a descending rep scheme is, remember, when you're getting back to a new movement, you actually are technically fresh for that movement. So hit a slightly bigger set there and then go into smaller sets later. Now, Tammy's already done. That was
225,
ridiculously quick. What these 2 athletes are, not only are they very proficient with the barbell, they're both very, very strong, powerful athletes. They're both very aerobically fit athletes. But they're also very proficient with the box jump.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of people so effortlessly move through rebounded box jumps like Al and Tammy just there. Okay, so
I think just going back to what you're saying on the thrusters and the box jump, because the thrusters are moving, a lot of people, even after listening to this, they will still want to go unbroken. They'll moderate their pace on the box jump. So a lot of people don't even worry about the rebound because they don't even have the skill yet to rebound the box jump. So, it could actually be an option to go unbroken on the thrusters and then do a box jump with a step down.
Yeah.
Again, it just depends what your strengths are, depends what you're comfortable with, but I think that's a strategy a lot of people will try and go with.
Okay, cool. So we're looking at these 2 athletes now. They've now got this period of time before they start building to their clean. Now, what you'll notice, we both noticed, neither Al or Tammy were really that fatigued.
Yeah.
Neither of them had to really sit down or lie down. And what I kind of think about the CrossFit Open workout, the front squats and burpees over the bar, where a lot of us had really pushed the throttle there.
Yeah.
It was more like 4 to 5 minutes of work. That was 2 to 2.5 minutes of work.
that means for these guys, there wasn't a whole amount of residual fatigue.
Yeah.
And, I know Tammy and Al both said, I think Al said he was feeling it in his legs more so than Tammy. But Tammy was feeling pretty fresh.
Tammy did say this was a lot easier than she thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So she said if she'd done it again, she would attack the 21s a bit more. And I think going back to what you said there, I think the combinations that you generally see during the open require a lot more global movement. So although these are both squatting movements, like you said, where your knee flexion's working a lot, they're not actually having to bend over much and like create that much compression. Relatively speaking to their strength, the 35 kg bar and the 52 kg bar are so low down from their 1 rep maxes, or relative speaking to their strengths, that they don't have to overly brace and create that much tension. So really they're moving pretty freely,
pretty aerobically.
Exactly, through a barbell movement and through a box jump, which they're both super proficient at.
Okay, let's bring our attention to this clean now. So what you notice Tammy do there straight away, she started with a power clean and then followed up with a squat clean at 55 kilograms.
Yeah.
So for her that's quite a smart move. She's dialing in both movements. For most people, they're going to be able to hit more load with a squat clean, but I think it was quite cool that Tammy just dialed that power clean as well.
Yeah.
Now when you look at the loads, Tammy opened with the 55. It's kind of like that's a very light load for her. We know she can clean over 100 kilograms.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a technique dialer in at about 45 to 50%.
Yeah.
Al actually opened again also with a 60 kg clean, which for him, knowing he's cleaned 170 kilograms before, that's more like a 30 to 40% of his 1 rep max.
Yeah, and you'll notice as well, Tammy's actually put her clips on as well, which means that every rep technically counts at this point. Whereas Al's, he's super confident with the weights right now. He knows he's just building up, so he's going, having a breather, sit in the back of the room. He'll come over, hit this 120, whether it's a power or a squat, and it's just dialing it in because he knows it only really counts when he gets like up to the 140, 150 mark.
Yeah.
But we know he's super confident with those, so he can chuck the collars on then.
Yeah, so it's a good point. You probably, for these two who finish that first workout really fast, they've got a lot of time on the cleans. So it doesn't hurt to actually take that little bit of extra time to put clamps on.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in competitions. People, because of the nerves perhaps, or the fatigue from the first bit, hit or miss loads that should be routine and end up not recording a score for the workout, and that is the worst case scenario. So what Tammy's doing here is being very safe, and she's already clocked in now. I think that was 90 kilograms for a clean, right? So if she misses everything from now on, even though she's still got quite a bit of time left, at least she still has that score on the board.
For sure. And I think this is something as well that's obviously it's completely up to the athletes and how much time you got left on the clock, but these guys are taking probably nowhere longer than like 45 to 50 seconds between the lifts right now. The early lifts, you kind of just want to get in the groove, grease the groove of the clean, whether you're going power or squat, make it feel good. And then when you start getting towards the heavier weights, you're going to see people start sitting down, sitting on the barbells, trying to rest a bit more and trying to bring a bit more focus to it. Whereas the beginning, it's always a bit frantic. People just kind of throwing weights on and just going through their movements. Al making that 130 look super easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you'll see their rest start to kind of stretch out a little bit more as they get towards those heavier weights.
So I think we should talk about some different scenarios here. Most people aren't going to have anywhere near as much time as these two have on their clean. So, they may have anywhere between, let's say, like 3 to 5 minutes to actually hit their clean, which means, how would you then go around strategizing for that athlete in terms of how they would jump? How many lifts do they have?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are probably going to have anywhere between 4 to 6 lifts in their time.
I think that's already Tammy's 4.
Yeah, and they've got pretty much 10 minutes to build to a max clean. So that is, like you said, a ton of time. They can afford to go sit down. They still got over 5 minutes left on the clock. Like you said, someone who's only got anywhere between, let's say, 1 minute to making a good appearance in the background there.
Looking thick.
Anywhere between like 2 to 4 minutes on the clock. I think it will be very similar to Alex and Tammy. They'll do like one easy gimme lift, something that you can do with your eyes closed, and then you just, depending on experience and knowledge of where your clean is at, people who are in our perform and compete group, you'd expect to take a slightly bigger jump. People in the live group, if this might be the first time really experiencing a heavy clean under fatigue, so they just don't know. So it's kind of going to be like throw a 2.5 on, throw another 2.5 on, and just climb and just see where they can go. I think the heavy hitters, people who know what they can hit, you're probably looking at no more than 3 to 4 attempts with that amount of time.
We may really see a lot of our live athletes actually hit PRs here. Because they're kind of like, they're in the groove of competition. They've dialed the technique in. They're not really overthinking it now. They're just doing it. Whereas I certainly know, I won't kind of spoil it at the end here, but I know that these two well, we'll see what weights they lift, but they definitely don't hit PRs in this workout.
Yeah, so Tammy just hit a 108 there.
Yeah. Now, I think that's the first time with Tammy's technique we've seen kind of just a pull and a bit of a drop. She was staying really connected with her other lifts, pulling that bar and staying connected as she finished. That time was more like hit the hips, bit of a shrug, and then boom, ass to grass. And I think she's identified that kind of watching this video back, but definitely we're seeing some technique changes from Tammy there.
Yeah.
I think, this is, from a training standpoint, this is where practicing bigger weight jumps is a really good thing to it's a good skill to hone in on.
For sure.
If we get too used to always just doing micro jumps with our weightlifting or even our strength training, Al missing 150 there, just I think the bounce there.
Yeah.
But I think if you can practice and build confidence, knowing that you can still hit lifts with bigger weight jumps, this is exactly where that's going to pay dividends. Where
sure.
perhaps you have less time and you just gotta you've got 3 attempts perhaps in a short amount of time to try and hit something heavy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I know 150, just put it into context, Al's heaviest clean is 170. He hasn't hit that in a while, so it's probably not a true representation of where he's actually at right now, but that's 150, still 20 kg away from his heaviest clean.
I mean, it's moving real quick off the floor. His positions are solid, so I think the fact that you can see him chalking back up and he kind of shook his head a little bit, I think he knows he should be hitting that.
Yeah, he was definitely saying that he could feel his legs a lot, and I think whereas Tammy didn't really have that residual fatigue.
Yeah. I think also as these two athletes, although they're both super strong in this relative to the sport and relative to the rest of the field, I think Al is a much more explosive 1 rep max style kind of guy. Whereas that is a solid grind.
Yeah. Whereas
Tammy is actually a much more enduring athlete than she is powerful. So you'll notice her weight jumps have been a lot smaller when she's got up to the top of it. She went 1995, 108. Now she's going for 111. And I think she's going to take a seat. There you go.
Which I think she said is the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah. In good spirit, so.
Yeah, and I think especially just in context there, for females, that's something we typically see.
Yeah.
Even though it could be, Tammy is explosive and strong for a female relative to a male competitor.
Yeah.
She's definitely... Yeah, she's definitely a lot more dampened, much more enduring in nature. Okay, so based on the fact, seeing Alex's 150 and how much of a struggle that is, that really slow concentric speed in the stand is definitely going to take it out of someone. So for him here, he really wants to wait as late as possible. He's got 12 minutes, so he really wants to be stepping up to this at kind of 11:50, giving himself as much recovery as possible. Sure. Tammy as well, she's going to go for it. So he's stepping up to the bar, 11:38. Okay, he's just moving it because he wants to be in camera. Obviously, history tells me he's not going to make this lift based on how hard that 150 is, but let's see what happens. This is typical Alex Younger winding up. Tammy's now that's called the Ed Haynes. And Tammy now, just gets onto it. Okay, awesome performance from those two. I mean, again, kind of, watching yourself and Izzy last week, put into context, you have 2 of the athletes. These guys are like some of the best in the world. I'm not even exaggerating that at a workout like this. And these are really, really elite weights. What did Tammy end up with?
Tammy hit 108 was the last successful, and Al hit 150 on his second attempt.
Yeah, so in competitive CrossFit game standards, that's still a heavy clean under fatigue.
For sure.
So I think the takeaway here for folks is like pacing in the first piece is still going to be kind of important, but bearing in mind, you got to kind of have an idea of how long that first piece is going to take you. If you're looking like this is going to take you 8 to 9 minutes, then you need to push, but you also need to pull back a little bit because you're going to have to be going into your first squat clean or your first power clean pretty soon. So if you completely floor yourself, you're just simply not going to recover enough to hit a part B score.
I think a lot of people are going to get very caught up also in warming up a really heavy clean, and they're going to neglect the fact that they've got 90 reps to complete before they even get to do a clean as well. So I think it's really important that you dial in the positions of like your front rack and your overhead position, and just whatever technique it is in the box, whether it's a rebound, whether it's a step down, whether it's an alternated step down, whatever technique you use, that's got to be dialed in that you can do it with your eyes closed, or else it's gonna could lead to wreaking havoc at the end before you even get to the cleans.
Awesome. All right, well, looking forward to seeing people take on this workout. Those of you watching, best of luck.
Good luck.